So, a very good evening to all of you who are joining us today. A very good morning for those who are elsewhere. We are the Himalayan Institute of Cultural and Heritage Studies, a non-profit. We established in January 1920, and the pandemic was a trigger for us to start these lovely talks because we get to know all those who are working in the Himalayas and how they contribute to the Himalayan culture, heritage, preservation, and conservation in any field they may come from. It may be geology, anthropology, archaeology, literature, and what have we. But it's become a hub for things Himalayan, and it makes us all happy on Saturdays. And we really bask in that all week long, and we wait for another talk. It wouldn't have been possible without our lovely audience. And of course, the Himalayas go from the north to the northeast, and it gives us a lot of happiness when the sister states in the northeast are a part of the talks that we do. At the Himalayan Institute, which is in Shimla, near Shimla in Dhami, away from the urban sprawl, in nestled in beautiful forest, reserved forest, and a gurgling stream. And when I describe it, I want to go there right now. And I feel that those emotions can be transferred to all of you, and you can come pay a visit, see our library. We have a free clinic there. We just moved, so we are still, setting things up. We are starting a little cafe classroom for all the students who do online workshops offline workshops. We have online courses. This month, we are offering 3 courses. One is on Tantra in the Western Himalayas, another is on landscape culture and architecture of the Himalayas, and the third one is mountains, media, and materiality. So if you want to enroll for these courses, they're very reasonable. You can enroll, and they're certificate courses. And a lot of buzz will be happening soon. And Mahima, we are working together. She's doing our branding slowly and steadily. We are taking these steps forward to be in the Himalayas, do things for the Himalayas, and just be happy and live a good life. So that's our introduction for the new people who are here. So sorry if I'm repetitive each time somebody new comes, but I have to convey what we do. And who am I? I'm Sonali, Dr. Sonali. I am an anthropological archaeologist, and I'm currently in Los Angeles. And I'll be back in the Himalayas soon in December. So that's what I do. And here we have Wangtum, Lowang, very kindly introduced to me by Romel. He was recently in Delhi in a fair, I believe a book fair. And and it's really nice, when you get to go to book fairs and museums, you meet scholars, young scholars from all over. And it's always important to not be on the phones, but to engage and talk to people around you. And such conversations lead us into knowing more about the Himalayas in our case. So Wangtum is a young scholar who belongs to the Nocte tribe of Arunachal Pradesh. He is the director of Nocte Digest and also the author of The Native Tea. We will get to know more about the Nocte Digest from him today. The Nocte people, as I understand, are an ethnic Naga group with a very interesting history. And I was reading that they even migrated from Myanmar. I always thought that people from the Northeast migrated elsewhere, but so I was like, okay, this is interesting. Wangtum is an avid writer and has other books in press currently on Miles Bronson and the Noctes. He has tirelessly strived in documenting his people, the Nocte people, and helped in preserving their rich culture and heritage. And this is commendable because if each one of us does something like that, we preserve a part of the culture that is being lost. We try to capture everything on Instagram and social media, but it's so important to write these things down, to document it. And it's really commendable that you have done this at such a young age. So over to you, Wangtum. Let's hear you talk about the Nocte tribe
Okay.
and enlighten us about this part of the Northeast. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sonali. Uh, First of all, a very good morning and good evening to everyone present here. And I would like to thank Romel for introducing me to Dr. Sonali and her organization, that is the HICS, that's Himalayan Institute of Cultural and Heritage Studies. So I feel privileged to be part of this like video conference in this event. So first of all, second of all, my name is Wangtum Lowang. I belong to Nocte tribe, which falls in Arunachal Pradesh, India. So my tribe is one of the major tribes of our state, and as Dr. Sonali has already said that we are ethnically related to the Konyak Nagas or the Naga people of the Nagaland. So uh, my tribe, my Nocte tribe is a very diverse one. So what to say? There are many different groups of Noctes as per our dialect. One is the Hawa group that we call, and then there is one Fongsok group, there is one Kappa group. Then our dialect is all different. So historically, when there, before the formation of the Indian government or during the days of Ahom people, so what happened was that we used to live together, and everyone was like born. There was no tribe. There was no Nocte. There was only different villages, independent villages, such as Namsang, Bodulia, and like that. So in our Nocte tribe, there's even like couple of villages. They are culturally related to the Noctes, but their language is the Wancho people. Their language is totally what the Wancho tribe speak. So our Nocte tribe is quite diverse. So that's why I wanted to tell you. But the one of the most unifying factor between our tribe is the Kappa people. So Kappa people, they are very like finite number of people there. And I think around 500, 600 people who speak the Kappa language of the Noctes. So what we did, our group, we all celebrate our festivals by using the Kappa songs. We don't sing our song in our language, not in the Hawa language, not in the Wancho language, not in the Fongsok language. We speak or we sing in the Kappa language. So I think my uncle, my grandfather, they have told me the main reason we did was because Kappa people were the original inhabitants of this Tirap district by before we migrated. So we assimilated with them, and then we learned the language, and accordingly our language became more diverse and a unified factor. So this is our this is a linguistic introduction. So what more do you know? So like every other Naga people, our culture is also very similar to them. Like we have the log drum, which we call thumb. This is one big log that we hollow it and we play it during important occasions and to warn our people if there is any kind of danger approaching. And we used to head hunts. The head hunting was very popular in our days. And we were, I think, in the Northeast region, we were one of the first people who accepted Vaishnavism in the, I think, 18th century. So there was one Nocte chief. His name was Pote, Pote the first. So at that time, since the Nocte people, they used to control most of the soul wells. So we used to supply the soul wells to the Ahom people, to the neighboring tribes and like that. Everyone used to come and purchase the soul from us.
And the
So there
Ahom
was,
people were in Assam, right? The
yeah, in
Ahom,
Upper Assam.
Upper Assam.
Upper Assam. Yeah, we are close to Upper Assam. So the position of this soul base was the major reason for conflict between the Ahoms and the Noctes. So I think for that reason, what happened was that our Nocte chief, he went to one place called Sasoni. It is in Dibrugarh district of Assam. This one small village. So our chief, Hote the first, he went there and met with a spiritual guru. His name was, I think, Sri Ramdev. So he like he tested our chief. He did some like if he's like qualified to become his disciple or not. So after taking some tests, he accepted that Pote could become one of his students. So accordingly, he accepted Vaishnavism in, I think, 1720, around 1720. So he accepted Vaishnavism and he was baptized by the name Narottam, which I think means like Nar Uttam, best of men, like that. So he was baptized like that. So we accepted that religion in 18th century, and, we still follow this culture, but it is not very like relevant now. Even like a couple of villages only follow this one. So this is one factor, and I think yeah, this is, if you have any questions you can ask. Like we were mostly popular for soul trade, our wood carving, and our this religion. We were in touch with the Vaishnavite people, our relations with the Ahoms, and like after that, the business British administration. So one interesting I would like to tell you, the British people when they annexed Assam, they wanted to, like, what to say, they used to give us certificate. Okay, in the 1920s, they used to give us certificate to encourage us to eat opium, to smoke opium. They used to write. We used to go to Assam, and they used to like, when we go to Assam, we used to smoke opium, and the Britishers used to give us certificate that you have smoked this much like opium, and this is a good thing. So like that, they tried to. I don't know. I think that it was this line only, like they did in China.
Like in
They
China, the
used to make
opium
us
wars and
opium war,
then the
kind of similar
consequently,
thing.
and then
Yeah.
shifted all of you to tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So opium was also one factor that the Britishers introduced to us. There's a bad thing. Do we still like suffer this disease? No? Everyone is opium. Many of us are opium addicted. It's a very bad thing. Yeah.
So, how's the opium cultivation in your region? There is opium
Uh,
cultivation.
Opium cultivation is mainly prevalent in the Laju circle of Tirap district. Laju circle shares border with Myanmar. Okay, so the people of those border area, they are still ignorant. They think that opium is a good thing. So there's one incident I would like to tell you. The police and administration, they went to Laju area and they were destroying the opium field. So the farmer, those who were growing the opium, he started to chant Vande Mataram. He thought that he was like injustice was being like, he was feeling injustice. Okay, so he started to shout Vande Mataram. Why are you doing this? This is wrong. But so our people are still ignorant. They don't know that opium is bad. Okay, so they grow opium and they sell to the uh, you know the smugglers like that, and they consider it very precious commodity. They, what to say, what to say, they used to give us to the chief, like very important. Okay, it's very like close to gold. They used to pack it and we give to village chief like as a token of respect, like that. So opium is like a very bad thing.
Okay. So it's become a part of the culture.
Yeah, yeah. It has
Yeah.
become part of culture.
Okay. So, tell us, when the Noctes they migrated, if you could tell us a little bit about their migration theory, the migration story. If you could tell us a little
Okay.
bit about that, how they landed up from Myanmar, and did they settle on the border areas, or do you have a little bit about that?
Like our relative. Can you please repeat?
About the origins of
Okay,
the
okay,
Noctes, like when
okay, okay.
how they migrated to where they are now.
So the Hawa group of the Noctes, as per our oral history, we migrated from Myanmar's Hukong. So it was, I think, around 13th century or along with the Ahom people. And there are certain other groups. There is the Kundu people, there's the Hakun people. So their depth varies. Some migrated in the 15th century, some migrated in the 16th century, like that. So we still have relatives in Myanmar, in the villages close to our Tirap district. Uh, but their language is quite different. But we can understand bits, okay, like certain words, certain figures. But when they speak in one sentence, it is hard to understand. So we have like there are Hakun people in Myanmar also. If you know this Professor Stephen Moore, he is from Australia. So he is currently studying the Kangsa tribe of Arunachal Pradesh. So their language. So he have told me also that Hakun people, they reside in Myanmar. And their language is very much similar to our Noctes, our Tangsas and Wanchos. So maybe it's possible that our proto language was in Myanmar. When we migrated, the language became quite diverse, and we lost touch with the Myanmar people. So yeah, there's also one Tangsang group. Okay, there's one different theory here. So every group has come from Tang or Sang. There's different location in Myanmar. So it is like a disputed thing. It's not something we cannot talk about. And our people also, the Noctes, the Wanchos, and Tangsas, they've divided into two groups. The half, they want to be called themselves Naga, and on the other hand, they don't want to be considered themselves as Naga. So it is a political reason here. So as per some scholars from Nagaland, it is said that the first Naga term was used to like call things like the Namsang and Boduya people. They were the first Nagas to be called as Naga, even before the Naga of Nagaland. So it's like that.
We have a question, from Vibhaji, who's worked extensively in
Okay.
the Northeast and Nagaland. She asks that she wants to know about the tea cultivation. I also want to know about that. Miles Bronson, who is Miles Bronson? I have no clue. So we need to know about Miles Bronson and the
Okay.
relationship with the Nocte. She does say that they were the first among the Naga to be contacted by the American Baptist missionaries, Bronson. So if you could shed
Okay.
light about, when opium came and then how tea started coming and about the cultivation and about the tea industry and
Okay.
Miles Bronson and the relationship with,
Sure. Sure.
yeah.
Uh, Thank you, Miss. I think Vibal Joshi for the
Dr.
question.
Joshi, Dr. Vipin
Dr.
Joshi.
Joshi, thank you for the question. So I have written a book that is, as Dr. Sonali also said, the native tea. So it is based on the role of our Nocte tribe in setting up the first commercial tea garden in India. So the story started in 1830s. Okay, there were two brothers. Their name were Robert Bruce and Charles Alexander Bruce. So the Bruce brothers, they used to station in Assam study. They were the superintendent of Assam Company that overlooked the tea industry. Okay. So after the British Crown, they abolished the monopoly that British East India Company enjoyed in China over tea. It was, I think, in 1833. So after the abolishment of this monopoly, the East India Company tried to like open a new market in India since the Chinese monopoly was done. Okay. So they came to Assam and they tried to plant the Chinese tea species, but it failed badly. It didn't match the climate here. So they wanted to find an indigenous tea species. So in this search, the Bruce brothers, they met with one Singpho chief. Singpho is another tribe in Arunachal Pradesh, in Assam also. So they met with the chief and they found that the chief used to eat a certain kind of tea species, but they did not brew it. They used to eat it with garlic and oil. So they were curious. Wow, there's new tea species in Assam also, in Arunachal also. So they sent the tea species for examination in, I think, Bengal, Kolkata. So after the results came back, then they were sure that this is indeed a tea species. Then they started to explore the area. So in this exploration, the Bruce brothers, who were stationed in Jaipur, it is in Dibrugarh district, they stumbled upon this large, like what is it, forest that was where they found the indigenous tea species growing wild. Okay. So when they inquired whose land it was, then they found out that it belonged to the Noctes. So what they did that they made a deal with the Nocte people, with the chief of the Noctes, that we will pay you certain amount. Like it was, I think, in the beginning it was 250 rupees or 350 rupees, which is equivalent to now I think 5-6 lakhs. So they made the deal and they like started to pay rent to us, and it all started like this. And about this Miles Bronson, he was a Baptist missionary who came to Arunachal Pradesh in I think in 1839. in January 1839, and he came, and he wanted to like his motive was good. He wanted to promote education, but his main primary goal was to what to say spread Christianity. So at the same time, he tried to what to say encourage us to cultivate tea, the tea garden. But he wrote that since we were like already had one trade, that is the sole trade, we were not very much interested in like starting the tea cultivation. So he tried his best is to encourage us to cultivate tea, but we didn't concentrate. We wanted to concentrate in our sole trade only. So unfortunately, like the weather was not suitable for him and his family. So they fell sick and they had to return back to Assam. Then they went to Guwahati and they stayed there. So after 1839, after 1814, no missionaries ever came here. So it's like that. So I'm also writing a book on Miles Bronson. It is a 300-page book that is going to be published soon, where I've written from A to Z what Miles Bronson did for us. So this is my summary. Thank you.
That's wonderful. So we will need to get the link. I'm sure a lot of us would like to read about it. How I you mentioned that the Nocte people were also headhunters,
Yeah,
right? I have worked with the headhunting community, but in Borneo.
born right.
Yeah, with the Iban headhunters. And
Okay,
there's a whole theory about them perhaps being from Nagaland. There's one theory about migration that talks about
I've
that.
heard that. Yeah,
Yeah, you've heard that. The Coniacs,
yeah.
were headhunters as well. So how prevalent was headhunting? If you could tell us a little history about that, and what are the remnants of headhunting which are still with the community? If you could talk about it, about the whole idea behind hunting, because like with the Iban, they talked about, getting the spirits of the opponents. So what was the meaning behind it? If you could shed a little light on what the Noctes believed in.
Uh, I think the main reason that we used to hunt at during battles and like that is to show dominance over another village, and it was a kind of trophy at that time. The like the village with a more number of heads was considered to be as the most powerful one also. So they were feared, they were respected like that. Okay. So, but besides this, like as a trophy, it had a deep cultural meaning also. So every like, if you want to become a youth, a respectable member of a society, then you must go to war. You must go to war and you must hunt head. And if only you bring one enemy head, then you will be given the tattoo. Okay. So in our Nocte society, tattooing was also quite different. Like the upper Noctes that we call them, they used to tattoo their entire body from face to their chest and everything like that. But the lower Noctes, they used to tattoo only up to the neck. They never tattooed their face. So there is one like misunderstanding that since we did not tattoo our face, we were not headhunters. But this is wrong. This cultural differences was there. And there was Pang. Okay, in Naga, I think it is called Mora. So in Pang, we used to store the human heads, and that was a very important institution for us, just not because we used to store head there. It was a dormitory also for the young people, for the young boys. They used to stay there until they got married, and they acted like what to say. They learned everything there. They learn how to like wood carving, how to hunt, everything like this. So it was an important institution at the time, and it's not followed now. It is just now a structural institution only. So there used to be the lock drum, which we call thumb, near the like collection of enemy heads, and every year we used to like do one ritual, which is one puja, where the priest that we call the Ramba, okay, he used to give offering to the skulls so that the evil spirits they do not disturb us, they do not disturb the our village. So I think yeah, this is the cultural importance of headhunting in our society.
Okay. You talked about tattoos. So,
Yeah.
how many young Nocte people today still tattoo? One, that's one question. The other is that from the tattoo of the elderlies, have you been able to, has anybody been able to do a study on, the origins, for example, whether there are some common tattoo motifs that you see in the other tribes, where you come from originally, or from the Konyak Nagas. Because I know even with the Iban, tattooing was a very important part of their culture. And every tattoo had a meaning. So, do you know anything of that from your community?
Uh, Unfortunately, like I don't think there's much studies on tattoo of our Nocte or Vancho society, but there's some like similarities in pattern. It's quite simple one. There's one common line. Okay, there's one that a star shape like that in males. So unfortunately, no, there's not much study in our in the tattoo culture of the Noctes. But I think the ladies, okay, the ladies used to do like floral shaped tattoos on their back. So I've been told that it was mainly for decoration purpose to make them look beautiful. It was one reason for tattoo. And one more distinct, like unique culture was that we used to blacken our teeth with charcoal. That was considered a thing of beauty. We used to blacken our teeth with charcoal, and this, whose like teeth was blacker, it, they were considered as a beautiful person. Even the girls also and males.
But that's very interesting because you have to see this. I have a YouTube video where I was working in Egypt. This was back in 2012, and the Ababda and the Bashari people there, they use charcoal to whiten their teeth. So
Okay.
they don't stick it on. And I was like, let me do an experiment. And I took the powder that they got, and I was
Uh,
like, yeah, actually they were my teeth got whitened, and then I told my dentist, and he says never do that because it'll damage your gums. And I was like, well, the Bashari and the Babda people have such wonderful teeth, and we are using Colgate and Pepsodent.
yeah, right.
So so it's interesting to see that the Nocte would have the black
Yeah,
staying on, right?
yeah. Mhm.
But they were actually
Well,
whitening the teeth.
yeah, actually, that was they didn't used to like keep it there. They like for occasion they will blacken their teeth, and they I think they used to like wash their teeth with that charcoal also. So I think this was one particular reason to make their teeth strong also.
Right, right. Very interesting. There's a question from Jenny. She says, is there a story that has become part of the folklore transmitted from the elders that is still narrated today? So, stories of, I'm sure there must be so many stories that are
Yeah, yeah.
transmitted.
Folktales are there.
So can you speak a little bit about that and about the role of spirits and how it shapes the culture?
All of spirits. Mm, Actually, I will tell you one folktale. I have not like indulged in this spirit one study, but there's one interesting folktale. But as to why earthquake occurs. Okay, so the story goes like this. So when our children dies at birth, what to say, when they just when newborn, when they are newborn, so their spirits they gather at one place at one time, and they begin to dance, they begin to cry, and at that moment, the goddess of earth, they used to see this. And she used to get sad. The parents, they failed to take care of their children. They failed to like nurture them. And she begins to cry and shake the earth. So when the people, they begin to pray her, then she scolds them that it is your fault only because you never took care of them and they died because of you. And there's one, now this is this is now absolute. We used to kill the twin children, and those children who were born with deformities. We used to kill them. So it was mainly because I think it was the survival of the fittest at that time. If anyone is born with deformities, he cannot hunt, he cannot run like that. So for that reason, I think they were killed at birth. So this culture was abolished in I think after the in 1990 something, very recent,
Very recently.
very
Oh,
recent. I
okay.
think in 1993, there's one couple, one mother. She had just given birth to two twin sons. So at that time, luckily, like there was Mother Teresa. She came to Bodura village, and what happened was that she adopted those twins. She adopted them, and took them to one orphanage center in Kolkata. And from Kolkata, they were adopted by an Australian couple, and now they stay in Australia. That is one interesting
So the
story there.
Nocte have traveled to Australia.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So what were the practices, death rituals like with the Nocte people? Were they burials? Were they,
Mhm.
cremating? If you could shed light on that.
Uh, Different villages have different burial techniques. But the most common was the tree burial. I think this is followed by the Red Indians also. We used to make one platform, one raised platform, and we used to just lay down the dead body. Okay, so it laid in the open. It was very unhygienic, and because of that, diseases was there and all that. So there is one niyam, there's one ritual that is called kosak. Okay, ko means head, and sak means to pet. Okay. So after people die, we used to put them in the platform, and then in the dead body, we used to put a hollow bamboo tube in their mouth. And from time to time, we used to pour wine, nice rice there. And after some time, what happened? The head becomes some mummified because of the alcohol, and it gets detached from the body. Okay. So after it detached naturally, we used to bring the head and put them in a one bamboo structure, and we used to offer them with meat and all that. Then the Ramas, that is the priest, they used to perform their ritual, and after that we used to take the head and bury it. So this ritual is called Kosa. And Miles Bronson, Reverend Miles Bronson, he also documented one incident. He wrote that the chief wife, she was taken out of the house after 6 months for burning. It means that the dead body was kept in the house for 6 months. So after keeping them or keeping her in the house for 6 months, she was burned, and the ritual that was followed. Okay. And we used to also burn the bodies. It depend on like different occasions. Okay, we used to burn the bodies with alcohol. And in the event of unnatural deaths, such as what you say, accident in modern times, in accident, what we used to do, we never took them to the village. We buried them outside of the village boundary because we considered them that their spirit was bad. If we bury them inside the village, then he will bring his bad luck with us. Then our people will also die because of accidents or because of this and that. So this is one technique, one of our burial system.
Okay. Okay, lovely. Another question I had, I don't know if you have photos.
Okay.
How are the houses like, how are the houses like? Even today, do you have those traditional houses? If you could shed light on that. How was the arrangement of the houses when we talk about gender? How was the positioning of the male and the female in the house? If you could give a little information
Sure.
on.
I have actually written a small article on that. Uh, I think the house used to be considered 20, 40 feet long. Okay. So there was one, the beginning of the house, it was a tanliam. It is a veranda tan. Okay. It's open air, open
It's
space
like a long
platform.
house, like a long house.
Yeah, long house. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was raised, it was down, it was a platform. Okay, so we used to what do you say, to enter the house there is one ladder which we call tiptoe. There used to be a decoration there, engravings of animals and like that only. So after the first room that we enter, one second, let me check. I've written the article, I just forgot what it's called. Sorry for the wait.
Don't worry,
Few
don't
minutes.
worry. No, it's
Yeah.
so informative because it's so important to know, the work that is going on and you get to know about these tribes, which we would never get to know, unless somebody told us about it. And it's such a rich culture and it's very important to hear this.
I will also share the article that I have written. So basically, our house used to be divided into 5 rooms. Okay, so each room had its own purpose, And the house of the chief had more elaborate design. It was different from the common people. So the first was this vaka, we used to call them, after like climbing the stairs. So this room was occupied by the male members of the family. The first room was occupied by the male members. So there used to be one like fireplace, one small fireplace. This called tub, where we used to store meat and smoke the rest of the things. Then after Waka, then came Tapdong. In Tapdong, we used to store the rice. It was a kind of granary also. It was in some place, and there was like in some houses, a veranda was also attached there, but it was not very common. Then after Tapdong, there used to be a called Kakho. So this Kakho, this third room, was meant for the aged members of the family, and both male and female, they could stay there. And after Kakho, there was one Humnu. So Humnu belongs to the uh, children and the young female members of the family. It was for the wife. Okay. So the main kitchen of the house was there. So there used to be like four fireplaces, four tub in the Humnu. And there was one emergency door called Pongka. It was used if like, someone came to attack them. It was an emergency door. And within the Humyu, there was a compartment. It is called Kuno. This compartment was, you can say in modern terms, a kind of safe where they used to store all their jewelries and all their precious things. Then after Humyu, it came the fifth room. This is the last room. And it was divided into two parts. So one part it was to store the water, and another part it was a toilet. What we call toilet is haso. So toilet at that time that was quite not very hygienic. We used to like directly like dispose our waste, and there used to be like pigs waiting there in that like in the downstairs. Okay, they used to eat the fishes and all that. So after that we used to eat the pig like this.
Oh
No
dear.
problem there.
So I'm sure a lot of
Yeah,
cases of tapeworm infestation.
yeah, I guess. But yeah, it's possible.
Yeah,
I've
could
shared the
be.
link of the traditional house. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Another question that I had is that you talked about this association with the Nar Uttam, right? You were talking about the
Yeah,
influence of the Vaishnava culture also. So, in your material culture, do you see those influences even today that speak of that association or those influences?
mhm. Yeah. Uh, let's say what to say. This Narottam, this Vaishnavism, it was relevant till 1830. Sorry, not 1830. Uh, 1850 around like that. Okay. At that time, what happened that Namsang and Bodhya. Okay, I keep saying these two villages' name because they were the most prominent and the powerful villages of the Noctes at that time. So they used to be in constant conflict. So one day what they did, they wanted to make truce. They didn't want to fight anymore. So they went to the Sasoni village, where their ancestor, they adopted the Vaishnavism. So they went there and talked to the Guru, and they told them their problems, that we are constantly fighting. Please do something. Bring peace among us. So the teacher, he made them understand like don't fight like that. He didn't do anything. So on the way back, the chief of Namsang, he killed the chief of Bodhi. So this was the last straw. And after that, they thought that this is not going to go, this religion. Okay. So I think at that time they not officially, they began to distance themselves from Vaishnavism. But in the 1900s, the 1950s, after the Indian government came, the the revival started. Yeah, we began to make namgas. Okay, so namga is dedicated to this Narottam and his guru, that is Sri Ramdev. So still, there is one in Tirap district. There is one place called Narottam Naga. It is named in his honor. So there is one famous institution. It's called Ramakrishna Mission. It's one of the top school in our Arunachal Pradesh. So there is a as of now, recently, the government of Assam, they have decided to build a heritage center in our village, in Namsang village. that is going to be dedicated to Narottam only, to revive, like, to remind the people of the relation that existed between the Ahoms and the Noctes. So still it's very prevalent today. And there are two villages, that is Namsang and Sipin. Okay, they used to they follow one ritual that is called Kum Kampon. So in that puja, in that ritual, what we do, we all gather in odd numbers. Okay, there will be odd numbers of what to say, priests. So they will chant mantras in our Nocte language, and they will chant the name of Narottam, and they will pray for the head of the house for whom they are praying, and like that we remember him every year. In only in Namsang and Sipini villages now. It's limited to two villages.
Oh, wonderful. What is the religion? This is Dr. Joshi's question. What is the religion
Okay.
practiced by the Nocte now? What are the main
Hmm.
festivals? Are the festivals similar to the Oling of the Cognac celebrated in April? And what about agriculture, cultivation? So if you could start with the religion, what is the dominant
Okay.
religion today?
So before I go there, uh, some of the Noctes, when they migrated from this one, Myanmar, we were Buddhist at that time. So when we were migrating, we were Buddhist. And after we came to this area, then we assimilated with the local people. We assimilated with them and we started to follow animism. That is the nature worshiping. And after nature worshipping, we accepted this Vaishnavism, as I told you, in the 18th century. So after that, we didn't abandon our local religion also. We used to do indigenous prayers also like that. So in the 19th century, when Miles Bronson came, he tried to convert us to Christianity. But we stick in our Vaishnavism and in our local culture. And we didn't accept Christianity at that time. But in the 1970s, Christianity began to arrive, baptism, and this one, what is the Catholic also. So I don't want to say the bad things here, but when the Christianity came, it mainly came from, I think, Nagaland. Most of the pastors, most of the priests, they were from Nagaland. So they came at that time when the Naga people, their culture was being revived. Okay, like they began to realize that they need to preserve their culture. They came at that time to our place. So what they did, they came to our villages in the Upper Nocte area. They came and they started to say that what you are following is an evil thing. You should bury this, you should abandon this. They bought very ornaments. Okay, they bought for 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, that this is evil, we will go and bury them. So they actually didn't bury them. They bought it from us and they took there to Nagaland, and they like showcase them as this old culture. It is a the people also tell us, and they made us bury like our heads that we used to collect head hunting period. That is just a bad thing. So we buried them, and some were taken by them also, and it was like stored there. So there are only few villages that store head now. There's one Khete village. There are around 70 or 60 heads skulls there, and there's one Lapnan village also. They store human skulls there. Okay. So the most prominent religion in our Nocte people, it is obviously Christianity now. And in the lower ranges, there's a lower Nocte, that is us. Many of us are Hindu. That is Vaishnavism.
Mhm. Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah. And Jenny's question is, could you please speak of your personal journey from your education at a young age and your interests in the study of your culture? And I'm sure
persons.
everybody must be so proud of you in your village.
Yeah,
So if you could tell us
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
So what to say? I didn't go much outside. I studied in my place only, that is Tirap district. I did my schooling here. I did my school high secondary in Ramakrishna Mission. There's Narottam Nagar here. And I did my college in Itanagar, that is the capital of our state. And after that, I'm working here as a lecturer now in the government college, that's Tirap district. So I must say that when I was young, I never like gave importance to our culture in our dresses, and I used to discard it. Like, not that it is an evil thing. I used to say that people used to tell me you should preserve our dress. Okay, so I used to tell them that what is the need to preserve our dress? We used to be naked because we didn't know how to make clothes. What's the use of preserving this? Because so we should discard them and we should adopt the modern thing. But now, slowly, I don't know when the realization came. I started to think that I should preserve our culture, and for that reason, I started this Nocte Digest in 2016, and slowly, it has now evolved to what it is now. And I have also started to write books, especially on our history only. So this is like this small evolution, we can say. This is my journey now.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I wanted to know if you have some objects that you can show us. I see one
Oh,
behind you that is
oh,
hanging. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
This is one, what to say, small bag made of cane. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
that's why we call tong. So
Uh-huh.
wait a second, I will show you some objects. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can open up the um we can all like be
Okay.
more immersive. Wait,
You
I'll
see here.
just a
Okay.
second. Yeah, yes, yes.
This is what we call pasong. Okay. This is this is mainly we use it during our dance. So it is made of goat hair. Okay. Dyed black and red, and we used to we use it during our dances. We move it like this and like this. Okay. This is mainly our cultural part. And since we were like wood carving expert from the very beginning, so this is one example here. There's one Nocte man uh, carved by one of our people. So you can see. You can see it now.
Yeah, and he holds a gun and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
axe.
And now,
And
down.
if you
This
could
is
tell
our
us,
tradition.
yeah, if you could tell us more about the attire that he's wearing, different parts of it, that would be wonderful.
Okay. So this is our main headgear. Okay. This is what we call kapok, and this is many designs are there. Okay. There's one plummet also. It is made of either goat hair, and I think in the olden days it was the hair was made from the enemy one, enemy head.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we used to attach their stitch there like that. And this is a copy of this one, hornbill feather. It is an important part. It goes with the head. So there is one, and this you can see this necklace, if visible or not. So it was used to be worn by headhunters only. It made like this. Okay. So and this is what we call this, this what to say. Oh, in this one, it is called romdi. Okay. It is used to be made from cane, black cane. So we used to tie it around our hips. Okay. And we used to especially it was important for agriculture because we used to bend all the time. So now like in modern gym, we wear the belt. So it did the work. Okay. So in the I think in the lower part there is not much there. And there is this one, dung. Okay. This is the main machete.
Mhm.
We use this for every purposes. For killing people, for meat, for cutting the trees, everything. For digging the ground. And gun. Okay. Gun has been an important part of our culture since I don't know from which period we started to use gun, but it has been a very important part of our culture. Like when we even during the burials, even during the funerals, we have to fire a gun, multiple fire. Okay, we used to blast bombs, everything to ward off the evil spirits. So since I think safe to say from the 20th century, or I think the ending of 19th century, we have been using guns. For instance, in the 1920s, there was one Nochte chief. He resisted against the British annexation of his land. So, as a punishment, he was taken to, I think, Tezpur jail. And after he came back, he was fined 80 guns. He was forced to make 80 guns, and at the same time, he had to pay 1,000 rupees. It was 1920. So from the beginning of I think 20th century, we knew how to make guns, and still we make guns here, using our local equipments and all that. So it is mostly this one flintlock rifles, nothing fancy.
Yeah. And what about the
Yeah.
earrings? Earrings and the hair?
Earrings, earrings it's just decorative purpose. It's nothing like, it's up to those who is wearing it. They can decorate them as they want. And I will show you one more thing. About 2 minutes. I'll bring it
Okay.
here.
Yes, yes. In the meantime, I can open the gallery and you have questions you can ask. This is really nice, when you get a visual experience and then you can ask more questions. So if any of you have questions, just raise your hands while Wangtum gets things that we can see. I have a similar basket which is much bigger, which I got from the IBAN headhunters. So very similar actually. So this is quite fascinating. And Vibhaji, I'll ask you to ask the question when he comes. You
Can
can.
you hear me, Sonali? Because I've had problems with my
Yes, yes,
you
I
can
can hear you. In fact, I want you to come and talk about, your research on the Nagas. I really want you to give a talk on that.
Naga collections. I've
Yes.
seen so many from his this thing Namsangya Naga, collected in 1870s and 1890s, from probably his village or beyond,
Yeah,
that are there in Berlin Museum,
yeah,
Ethnologisch Museum. Hmm.
that's
Because
wonderful.
they used to always write the name of the village. That is how they used to identify. So there'll be Namsangya Naga and Bordoria Naga. So these were the villages, where so the satellite village. I mean, and then around them would be the satellite villages, which
Uh-huh.
would,
Oh,
yeah.
wonderful.
But I wanted to ask him, I wanted to know more about this freedom fighter, because there was a whole team from Arunachal that came few months ago, fact-finding team, because Prime Minister has asked everyone to find out who were the people who rebelled against the British rule. And Arunachal Pradesh government had sent a whole team
To
to.
England.
Yeah, yes, yes. I met one Vancho scholar who collected quite a bit of it. I think you might know. He seems to. I mean, he's from Vancho, so kind of related in some ways.
Yeah. So I think
Uh,
Yeah.
Wangchung can answer that
yeah,
question about
yeah.
freedom fighters who resisted the
Because
British.
you just spoke about it, about that find of 80 manufacturing 80 guns.
The guns, yeah, that
And the
one person.
person, yeah.
Yeah,
As I was typing the question.
maybe there are many more like that, right, Wangtum?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they've been such a lot. I mean, even Führer Heimenhoff went, you remember. I mean, these were the other communities, that resisted quite a bit in
We're
the.
actually, this one choice scholar that you're talking about, his name is Nepa Wangsan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
Nepal.
yeah,
Yes, I met
we have
him.
actually worked together. Okay, so he's as of now currently working on his tribe and the Thai counties.
Yeah.
So, the story of his tribe, the Wancho, is that in 1875 they killed 80 Britishers. Okay, when they ventured to their village. So I've also mentioned this story in our book, in my book, that is the native. So
Uh-huh.
these two incidents are related.
Okay.
So the story goes like this. There are three versions as to why the Wanchos attacked the British. The Wancho version is that the British people, they insulted them. Okay, that they insulted the dead body of their chief son by desecrating it with a baton. This is the Wancho version. Second, the British version is that they attacked mainly to loot them, to loot their guns, to loot their heads and everything like that. But there is another third version that is I found in the National Archives of India. It mentions that uh, the Nocte chief of Bodria village, okay, he was like excluded from a deal. He was not being paid a yearly sum for his tea gardens. That was set up in 19 sorry that was set up in 1834 by the Bruce brothers. So the chief of Bodria was excluded from it. So he was angry. He was angry at the Britishers, but he knew that if he attacked the Britishers like head on, then he and his village will be destroyed. So what he did was that he instigated the Vanchos that you should attack the British people. So he like persuaded them, the Vanchos, by telling that If you do not attack them, then we will stop selling you our salt. We will block the road to Assam. Okay, since Bodhya was located at strategic point, so they like what to say presented these 2 points. That if you do not attack the Britishers, then we will stop selling you salt and we will stop the route, the only trade route to Assam. So this is considered to be another reason why the Vanchos attacked the Britishers, because they were there for only 2-3 days, and it is not possible for a tribe. There was not united at that time. There was no Vancho or Nocte independent villages at that time. Not possible to like gather around 5 or 7, 8 villages in 2 days. So it was a pre-planned. So it is considered that this plan was made by the chief of Border. So the Britishers, they also wrote this, but they wrote that because of the lack of any substantial proof, we cannot launch military action against the Baudelaire people. So what they did was that they punished them indirectly, like they were like given the task to collect all the weapons that was lost in the massacre. So this is one version. There are 3 versions as to why the Anglo-Wancho conflict occurred. So yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. So, Wangtum, what have you
Yeah.
got for us to show?
Actually, well, this is what we call mantun. Okay,
Wait.
this is
I'm just a
yeah,
second. I don't know what I clicked on, but yeah,
this is we call mantun. Okay, this
yeah.
is an iron stick. This
Mhm.
is I think 5 foot long. So this is used by the yeah, you can say this used by the chief's wives. It is used basically during like when we go to our field. It is an ornament for the ladies. Okay, they use it for walking stick. You can say a fancy walking stick. So yeah, this is one article,
Oh,
and there are like necklaces also. The head. I don't have the head. Sorry.
okay. Yeah. If you could type the name, Vibhaji is saying if you could type the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one second.
So yeah, if all of you could have your videos on, and if you have questions to ask Wangtum, um, it would be lovely.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Manthon, it's called Manthon.
Yeah.
He's seen such sticks in Berlin,
It
and
is
the Pitt Rivers
possible.
Museum in Oxford.
I think the cognacs they are trying to retrieve all their lost artifacts from the Pitt Museum.
Okay.
So I'm sure that our Nocte and Vancho ornaments will be there. And since we cannot differentiate now to whom it belongs, then the cognacs will take it
Oh.
over.
Okay, all of you, if you could have your videos on, and if you have any lingering questions that you want to pose to Wangtum, now is the time. It'll be lovely. Yeah, we can see you, but you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is the
Okay.
reaction to this return of human remains from Petrus Museum? It was splashed all over in Naga newspapers with a lot of talks and this and that. So, I mean, what you were saying that the cognacs are getting back all their material from Petrus Museum, that's very interesting news for me because it's how news travels. It's like the Chinese whisper. You know about the Chinese whisper, no? That you start with something and what ends up is quite different from what it started with. So what do you know about that actually? And
Oh,
other thing I wanted to tell you, Wangtum, is that there are several artifacts where
Mhm.
Bordoria and Namsangya are mentioned
Okay. Right.
as the identification, and yeah, it could be you know Nocte, Vancho, or
Yeah.
Cognac. I mean, that is
And
how
there.
the museums kind of do, Nocte slash Vancho slash Cognac, because they do not know. But when you have an identifier as Namsangya or Bordoria, Then
India
I think
Noctes.
what we have read, we get to know that, okay, these are village specific. So they must have been collected from the village that is
Right.
identified as Namsang. So there are actually in Berlin Ethnological Museum some objects
Okay.
that say Namsangya, you know.
That's India. Berlin Museum.
Berlin Ethnological Museum. There is an online database. If you send
Okay.
me
Okay.
your this thing, I mean, there are
Email.
right now, I think there are 4, 5 objects that actually say Namsangya, but there are
Okay.
some others which are very, there are kind of question marks as to where they are from.
They
Bodo.
just the Britishers took them and they categorized in one big category like Nagas, Konyaks.
No,
It's
actually,
a
it depends who was collecting because there was not just one collector, there were different collectors. So in some cases, if you go to the catalog records, you will actually where they know from which village or from which person they have
okay.
bought the thing. Then
That's
there
all
would be
right.
the name of the village there. So, because you talk about tea cultivation, there was somebody called Samuel Peel who collected
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
from Namsang, yeah, from Nocte,
Right, right.
because he
He
talks
went
about
to
collecting for exhibitions in Calcutta in 1883 and things.
mm,
So there's a lot of very interesting information
he's documented
available.
very well. He especially went to the Wantur area. So
Yeah.
he went there, made some sketches also,
Yes,
like
yes,
how
yes.
how
Yeah,
the lockdown used to look. Okay,
yeah.
the
Mhm.
pang Yamorang used to look and everything. He very
Yeah.
beautiful sketches. I have seen them.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
Woodthorpe, I mean, you have sketch on your book's cover also.
Okay,
The
okay. Yeah. That
sketches
was
by
done
Woodthorpe.
by this one. Woodthorpe. Yeah,
Woodthorpe.
yeah.
He was in the
During
survey
this,
of India, so he was
right.
surveying the region, and he was
He
also an artist. So he was also making both black and white sketches and the colored
colors.
paintings.
He
Yeah,
came during that time. This Wancho conflict. He
yeah,
was with the team.
would be in 1870s,
Yeah, yeah.
1880s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good
So,
sketches.
is your book
So
available on, are your books available on Amazon?
not
It's
yet.
through his site. I saw
Yeah,
that.
it's only through my side. It,
Okay.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot
have
of
to mail
problem,
it.
I mean, unless you're traveling there or get somebody to buy, because there's a lot of scholars like Wangtum are actually publishing. And for people sitting outside India, it becomes very frustrating because how to get hold of the books.
I think I will try to make it available online in a PDF format in ebook.
Yeah. Yeah,
Then
that
I
would
guess
be
I will.
great.
Then it
Yeah,
will be
that
better.
would be great.
But
Yeah.
isn't this wonderful, Vibhaji, to
Huh?
know all of this? Like it's so I was so happy to just to hear, so it's so rich everything, and he's been documenting this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
And
Wangtum, if you want to share, I will send you the links to this thing. I do not know. I mean, how good I mean, your internet seems to be fine. It has not
Yeah,
dropped
it's fine.
yet. So
I guess
yes.
I will share my email in the message
Yeah,
section.
because I can send you the link to, the
Please do.
online database for Peter's Museum and the Berlin Ethnological Museum. So because they have some of, at least Berlin has photographs. So,
Okay.
you can see. Um,
It's museum.
Wangtum
I
and
think
Peter's
Peace
Museum
Museum
does
is
not
in
have
Peterborough.
photograph for everything.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm very interested to know about this thing that you have heard that the Konyaks are getting back all their material culture.
Yeah. I've recently read the news on it. The attempt is going on. Hopefully, they will be successful. Let's see.
Okay, okay.
And maybe we can, differentiate from there which one was
Yeah.
Namsangya and
As
like
far
that.
as I know, there's only talk about human remains because Peter's Museum took
Okay.
out the skull trophies, the war trophies, which were skulls, because now suddenly the museums have decided that we cannot display human remains. So they took it out. It was during COVID
For
time.
that time.
So
Okay. Okay.
COVID time, with very few information and news available, it was splashed all over the world that the shrunken heads from South America was taken out, and there were like 5 or 7 shrunken heads, but there were like 90 skull trophies from Naga areas.
I
wow.
So
think we are making an attempt, the government of Arunachal Pradesh, to retrieve one head from Peace Museum. That is, uh, what was the Thai Committee chief, Chaupa Planglu, his name is. So his head was
So
beheaded
can
because
you can you tell me, because that would be very interesting to know, because right now
I
it's
will.
only kind of Naga where the most of the Nagas who are
Uh,
involved don't even know the provenance of the heads.
okay, okay.
It's very, this
Maulna.
is a politics of the museum. Okay, it's a very different kind of thing. But that would be interesting to know which particular head.
I'm right. Okay.
That's why we need to have
So
people's
Yeah.
museum, right? Where the people label and they kind of.
No, because the thing is, like as Wangtung was saying, that now there are only two villages in his community where there are still the heads kept. Now these heads are from the enemy village or whatever that you call. Okay, so you do not exactly know whose head it is. But if it was a known warrior's head or a known chief's head, then it might be documented in the museum, saying that this head belongs to this particular chief. Now, there is one particular decorated skull which a chief's descendant sold to J.H. Hutton.
okay,
So there, the name is there that this belongs to this particular, Chi village, Chui Chi village, and this decorated head was from the secondary burial. It was not a head trophy. So that is and somebody's ancestor's skull that was sold for whatever reason, whether to buy opium or whatever, because as soon as you have monetary economy coming in, where you need to have cash to pay house tax or buy whatever, you will have transactions taking place.
you
When
don't
you
need
think
it
of Peel and all buying Ehlers, Peel, Bastian, all these people buying objects, there is a trade taking place, no? You're buying, there could be barter, could be exchange, or could be, against cash. But what is that cash used for? Is it to pay revenue? Is it to buy iron? Is it to buy opium? What is it? Is the cash needed? Or is it for bright price? Because I mean, as an anthropologist, we read about
Yes,
cash economy, how it changes the transactions in various places, whether it is in African communities or Indian communities. As soon as the cash comes in from the barter trade, barter will be exchanging for kind. So you can have one Mithun bison can be bought for whatever, three cloths and one rod, or one dao or something, so that is the
uh,
transaction value.
then I think as per the records left by Miles Bronson, he wrote that
No?
Miles Bronson, as per the records left by him, so he wrote that like we used to purchase the
Mm,
iron materials from uh, uh, Iva, that is in Myanmar. Okay, we used to purchase the iron materials from them. I think by exchanging the salt. Salt was a very important commodity,
mm,
and we used to purchase other things, that is like clothes and agriculture items from Assam by selling the soap. So this differentiation was there. Iron from
mm,
Myanmar and this day-to-day life necessities from Assam. So salt was the only medium. Like it was the main like you can say currency at that time that we used to use. And he even wrote that the salt economy was so strong that they wanted to like cripple it, the Britishers, okay, by like imposing the tax. So not like exactly like because we were very powerful like that, because we were independent at that time because of the salt. We didn't feel the need of British administration. So to make us feel like we need them, they wanted to like introduce the sea salt, that is a common salt. But ultimately they decided, let them live their life. We should not disturb them. So the plan was like never executed. So this was the importance of salt at that time. And this monetary transaction, it started from like the coming of the Britishers from 1834, you can say. They used to pay us yearly rent for the tea gardens. It was around 250 rupees, I've written in the book. So it's like,
okay.
And what is the popular tea in from Nocte, which is commercial right now?
we have not exactly, specialized in this one, in this tea cultivation, because we simply used to receive the rent. We never explored the tea cultivation ourselves.
Mhm.
Mainly because of the salt. We need the tea cultivation since
Uh,
we had the salt. So this was the primary reason. But yeah, lots of tea like plantation, private tea plantations are there. So we used to, I think, what to say, their companies also many entrepreneurs. They have their own Nocte entrepreneurs. They have their own tea industry, tea factories, especially the green one, green tea.
Green tea.
Uh, yeah, there's one Misty Fall Valley. Okay, she her like the proprietor's name is Senya Lowang. So she's very popular here. She's very varieties of I think you can say flavor. Camel, but I don't exactly know the term. There's one camel tea something like that.
Chamomile, chamomile.
Yeah, chamomile. That one. This one is very popular with her. There's many varieties of it.
Lovely. We've learned so much from you, Wangtum. So
Thank
happy to
you.
have you. And
Yes.
if there are no questions,
One thing.
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay, I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, do you still have the practice if you go to the village and you go to meet the, you have to meet the chief first and give some gifts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I've done that in 90s, going
okay.
into
Where
Mod
did you go?
district and going to the cognac chiefs, and I was
Okay.
told by the people who had
Mhm.
taken me that you must bring
Yeah,
something, and
I
then
mean,
you.
like,
Yeah.
it's not like, if you go without any gift, they won't be like, they won't talk to you. It's not like that. And they will mind.
Yeah.
Like what you say, it's a courtesy
Yeah.
that you have come as a guest that one, like, one bottle of rum, one bottle of whiskey, like that. So it
Out
is
in
like,
Nagaland because it's supposed to be a dry state. So we used to take tea. I said, okay,
Okay,
I'll
okay.
carry tea leaves. Tea
I,
leaves and
I, I still
sweets
can't
for
believe
children.
Nagaland is.
Yeah, I mean, small things only.
Yeah. Small gifts, they will, just to make them happy, make them feel appreciated. So we
Mm.
can bring some gifts, for the chief, especially.
So tell me one thing
That's up to
about
you.
your the traditional cloths. I really do not know what is the Nocte. What is the, because now every community in the Northeast seems to have one identifier cloth at least for the men and women, and then several
Okay.
others status cloths. Do you have any that you wear yourself as a shawl?
Mm. Yeah, I think I got pictures here. I can share them.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean,
So
the thing is,
you're
Nagaland,
right.
yes, but as soon as
Mhm.
you go outside Nagaland, I have no clue. you know. So,
I remember with the Iban in Borneo, even the textile for collecting heads was called a puwa, and they would collect the heads in that
very.
cloth.
Mhm.
Yeah. And ceremonies for, when the heads were displayed, what the women would wear, and they would have like the skulls in the motif, like which was woven.
No, I remember you showing some photographs.
Yeah.
Remember
I
during
think
COVID lockdown, we had all these talks.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's the gallery.
I've
Okay.
I've
Okay.
seen them. Yeah.
Do you,
Like
yeah.
just know like don't. I think we have not like GI tagged any pattern right now, as far as I know. So I think it's in the process. I don't know exactly. So
Oh my
our culture
goodness,
is
I have seen so many of these in Berlin and in this thing. Right now, there's an exhibition on in Berlin. And
okay.
if I even show you, uh, oh, so this is very interesting. This cloth, this person with the gun who's wearing,
Uh,
because there
oh
is
yeah, yeah.
a cloth like that, but in white color, white background.
Okay.
And we've been wondering, as to where exactly I think it probably says Bordoria or Namsangya in the catalog record. Can you, I don't know, how do I put this?
Let
I will
me
send
let me
you.
share
Nocte
this.
men
I,
performing war dance during Chalo Loku at Khonsa.
I'm sharing the screen so that
Okay, oh,
others can
sorry, wait a
see it.
minute.
Oh
Wait a
yeah,
Would
that
minute.
would be better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you go, no, you cannot see it. No, if you go, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. And hats, I mean, you will find so much. This one, the one on the left.
Okay, this is what this
Yeah,
during the
because
war
all these
dance. Yeah.
cane belts and things, I mean, there's one red cane belt which you will see on online catalog in Berlin, which says Namsangya. And
We used to wear in the arms also. If you see my book cover, I think if you go down to the second section, that is the, I think.
There is such a lot of overlap in material culture that all these, these arm ornaments with the red and yellow dye. Do they still use the natural dyes? This is
Yeah.
and is this from a special goat? This hair, or it's from where?
No, I think it's a common goat, I think. Maybe,
There,
some
there
different kind
is
of
there is a
male,
goat
female
called
depends.
Nagaland goat, which is a
Okay.
separate this thing, whatever it's called, species or variety of goat. It's called Nagaland goat.
Naga.
As it is short and it has very long hair, and especially that side, the eastern Nagaland side.
Okay.
You
Yeah, this is wonderful. That you have something for the tribe. Um, like, and
mm,
you're sharing it. It's so nice and you have like, merchandise also. It would be like you need to put more books, t-shirts,
Yeah.
and all of that. And we will also at the institute spread the word,
mm,
because just imagine if every community in the Himalayas has a web page, and the people's culture whose is it, like they're presenting. It's so wonderful that you're doing this.
mm.
Yeah. Romel has a question.
Yeah, good to see you, Lowang.
Hello.
Yeah, give me a second. Not much light here. Yeah. So the question is both to Vibha and Lowang. So have you guys accessed the ethnology collections of the Nagas in India, the collections made by the Britishers? So have you accessed these?
Not me. Yeah. I've
Okay.
not done it.
Actually, you should, Wangtung, if you can, because
Okay.
you can actually go to the Calcutta Indian Museum, Calcutta, and the National Museum in Delhi. They all their
I
collections
think.
are online now. They are online.
Okay.
Okay, you can
Mhm.
access the collections. There is a portal, museum portal in India, but you will have to try, different community names. You'll have to try
Yeah,
Naga,
right.
Nachal, this, that, and somehow try to get. But
Particular
my
village
goodness,
also.
in India, you should be able to get access.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to do research in India.
No, and one of my former students, she's in charge of the ethnological part of ethnographic part of the museum, National Museum. Her name is Abira Bhattacharya. So
Abira is
Okay.
your student.
yeah, she was my student because I taught at the National Museum for 2 semesters.
Mm.
Yeah,
Because
she was.
they have recently redone their Northeast Gallery
Yeah. And
during COVID.
she was in
Mm.
charge of that. So she's very helpful. She's really nice.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. Because that's where Wangtum you'll find very relevant collection
What?
in that Janpath Museum.
Janpat.
And there are
Okay.
there are things from Arunachal also. Okay.
Yeah.
What
And
I
they have
don't
on
know how much.
display is what they have on display are very few items in the Janpat Museum. And there was this museum expo here, which happened some time ago, and I interacted with the various departments. There were, people from
Mhm.
the museum, Indian Museum in Kolkata, and there were people from the anthropology department, and the geology department, and stuff like that. So they said the primary collection, Northeast collection, is in Shillong,
Yeah, that is
and they also
because
said there is some collection.
okay,
Sorry.
Shillong. There are two things. One is Ashok has recently died, Very Relevant son. So very relevant. So there is
Hmm.
a museum in Shillong there, and then there is a Catholic
Yeah,
museum.
and they also told me that.
Mm.
Yeah, and they also said the person with the most knowledge of this about these collections is going to retire in June. The Indian Museum in Kolkata. So he said if you have to catch him in June, because June, and after that he's going to retire.
Who's this person?
I plan to visit, yeah, sometime, time permitting.
But who is this person? Do you know the name?
I have the name scribbled somewhere, but not here with me at this point of time.
yeah.
Right.
Also, Rajoli had a question.
Lowang, have you accessed the collection in Shillong or anywhere else?
No, I've done only in Delhi.
No,
Mm. Rajoli,
only
you
in
had
Delhi.
a
Okay.
question?
So this is, you access the collection. What is displayed beyond? I mean, what is beyond public display, or just what's there in the
I've
shelves in the
actually
Janpat
done
Museum?
mostly this one documentation part. There's a National Archive and Nehru Memorial Museum. So I have not done the photograph one
Okay.
and the artifacts. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
Rajoli, what's
Yeah,
your question? Yeah.
Oh,
hi. So thank you for this and introducing us to your culture. So right now when we were going through the website, so in the gallery I saw, I mean I've seen it before also. So this man had in his earlobe, eh, I mean you you can make out the hole was way too much. And I know it's a tribal thing, but I just wanted to know what is the significance of it. Does it have any ritual attached to it or any health benefits? And another question that I had for you was, so I've been to Arunachal and I've worked with the Nishi tribe, and in the headgear they have used you know the beak of the
okay.
hornbill. So like could you like like in your culture, was there something similar or different? If you could just elaborate.
Yeah, I think this one, the Noctes and the Nieces, they don't have much in common because we belong to different groups.
Right.
So I think since they use hornbill also maybe because it is available in both of our places. And about the earring one, I think I have to, go bit a deeper one because I've been
Okay.
doing more on the historical perspective of our tribe. So
Okay.
in the coming days, I may do like, in a cultural point, then I may be able to answer this one more correctly.
Okay.
So
Looking
as far
forward.
as far as I know, I think this is mostly for, what you say, decoration purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I could not have much.
No, no, it's all right.
Thank
I
Lowang,
think
do you still see hornbills in Tiram,
yeah, still here.
easily
I think
visible?
yeah.
Are they easily visible, or you have to
No,
really?
no, no, no. It's very rare.
Okay.
I have one friend from my community here. I think Stuti. Stuti, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. If
Yeah.
you don't mind, I'll have my video off because I'm not in a position to keep it on. First of all, thanks a lot for your talk. It was wonderful. And even though we chat at times, I still, learned new things. I actually had this question for the longest time since the issue of, the topic of textiles was brought up. I've always wondered if the red cloth that we use, especially women, red top, and that beige colored wrapper we wear for Loku. Uh, can we even consider that an original indigenous outfit for the Noctes, or do you think it's totally Assam inspired? Because there was a time where women would not be wearing anything on the upper portion, right? They would be wearing ornaments, and they would be wearing other textiles. So I was wondering if this long relationship Noctes have had with Assam has led to Noctes borrowing so much from the Assamese aesthetic. Because you talked about the GI tag, and I was actually
Yeah.
very relieved to know that we have not finalized anything yet, because it wouldn't be a very smart thing to finalize, like without proper decision, without proper research. And I'm really glad you're working on it. So I was just wondering if this is something that has been talked about, because that outfit looks, screams Bihu and screams Assam to me, that red top. And I wonder if our ancestors, wore that color at all, that red color. So this is a question I had.
Okay. Then in that case, I will share something. I think just hang. My screen is not working. Hello.
Your screen
Yeah,
is
I'm here.
Yeah, I might wait a second.
should be able to because it's enabled.
Yes,
And
yes,
as far as I know, Noctes were not originally weavers. They bought
yeah,
bags from Wangchu people, right? So they have a history of wood carving, but not of weaving. So I was wondering where they're getting their textiles from, and also that Kori shell bag you have at the background. Even I'm keeping one here in Bombay. So where did
okay.
they get these shells from? Is it locally sourced? Is it from Assam? Like, where are all of these elements coming from? It would be lovely to know, or if there's any research on it.
I think I've read some articles regarding this. Like since I think Dr. Sinali has also told us that some types of Borneo we have some similarities. Like the dormitory, they have also the dormitory. Also, I've read it like few years back. So there's one SCP. There was one British tea planter. So he has also like speculated that the log drum at that time of the Wanchos especially. So the end of the log drum used to be the engravings of like a creature, like a crocodile or something like that, not indigenous to our land. So it is possible that we may have, you know, copied the animals that we used to see in our former lands like that. So these Kori shells, I think we have brought it from the Myanmar most probably.
That's very
And
interesting to know. Yeah.
see, archaeologically speaking, like most of the shells that you find, in the northeast or in other areas, even when you even if you go to the northern Himalayas, they come from Turbinella pyrum, which is found in the ocean. So, of course, there was active trade. When we think of these tribes, we can't think about, just them being in the river systems. They were having active trade with other parts which were on the coast, and they were exchanging. Because when you archaeologically analyze the shells, they come from the ocean. So Turbinella pyrum is, I know that in Nagaland, that is so. In the northern Himalayas, it's so. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for answering.
So
So perhaps I have a question for you, Dr. Sonali. Did you find a difference between in studies between Borneo and the Naga culture?
It was not me who find, like, people have theorized about it, and Dr. Vibha is here. She's worked on Naga culture and heritage so much. Yes, there are a lot of similarities, and of course, we also have time and the distance, and there are so many theories floating. One is that Nagaland, people from Nagaland migrated to Borneo. There's another which people from Philippines migrated. There's another one that there's a distant island from where they came, from a Javanese island. So there are similarities, but unless they can archaeologically be proven, and that's where the scientific analysis rests. And I think more research is required. A lot has been done, a lot more needs to be done. But when you look at culture specifically with the tattoos, with the head hunting, with the shrunken heads and all of that, there are similarities. So, yeah, I don't know what Dr. Vibha has to say about this. Like even with the horned bill, for example, they have in Borneo they have a dance relating to that. So even it's a totem, and it's very important in all these cultures. The long house and everything. I've lived in a long house in Borneo, so it's there are a lot of similarities. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, if you click on the link, you will find similar earrings that your first photograph, the color photograph you had, and that is from
Sure.
1880s or 90s. If I've just put a Wangtum.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
just
Okay.
put a link of SMB Museum.
Okay.
That is the Staatlich Museum at Berlin.
Thanks for sharing this.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the photograph of the woman you showed right in the
It's
beginning,
from
the color
1860.
photograph, she
Yeah.
was wearing similar. Can you see? No,
Okay.
sorry, the
Okay.
black and white photograph, not color.
Black and white, right?
Yeah, it's
It is
very
from
similar, isn't
1860.
it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite similar.
Yeah, so that one, if you look at the that one is from Ehler's, this particular earrings.
Okay.
So it says Namsang Mana, that means men's. We do not know, it might be for women or men or both.
I've
And
okay.
Samler
Okay.
means the collector. Collector is Ehler's, Otto Ehrenfried Ehler's. And Schmuck means ornament. So he
Like an
had gone
ornament.
there because Ehler's died in 1895. So he had gone there around 1890s. He'd collected quite a lot, actually. Very beautiful baskets and cloths. And so
This
there's
is
some.
our
The thing is that see, all the photographs of all the objects are available online. So you might be able to.
yeah.
This is so wonderful.
Yeah. And I mean, the only problem is that a lot of indigenous researchers like yourself do not know where to look for it. So it's very few
Right.
people who end up, So that's why I'm very happy to share when I find
Thank you
someone
so much.
interested in sort of learning about and
Stuti,
interested in material culture. Yeah.
Stuti just
And
wrote that her father drew an illustration of the earrings.
mm,
It was like this pair.
yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, so I mean, there are some textiles which are like which one does not know, because that's why I was very interested in that photograph that you showed, which had the kind of weaving that was there, which seems very much like the
Okay.
Assam kind of thing. Assam, see, I do not know Arunachal textiles at all. You see, I can talk a little bit about Naga textiles, which I've seen. Not all the textiles, but some that
We
I've
were
seen.
very much influenced by this one.
No,
Some
but there are
people.
some like that one had lot of small motifs, and there are
Okay.
some textiles like that from late 19th century in the Berlin collection, and even in Oxford, actually, in Petrobras also there's one or two textiles like that. So it's always interesting. And like your like Stuti Mamen, no? Like she
Yeah.
mentioned that there were a lot of these things also. There were a lot of trade also where some villages didn't weave and they would exchange things for cloths. So you see a lot of overlap of material culture. So what happens with this overlap when certain cloths become identified with certain communities, at least in Nagaland, then the problem comes as to, who has the right to that cloth. And sometimes now there's a latest trend among some Naga scholars to denounce everything that the British anthropologists have written, the administrator anthropologist, which I find is not scholarly. I mean, you can challenge it, but you can't denounce it as such. Because, I mean, even the information that we collect now can be challenged later, you know? So there's never a finality in any information, is there? There are different versions. So you find, like, I mean, Sonali would tell you, you'll find similar versions of folk tales. So there's a folk tale about a woman's warrior cloth. The same folk tale has been told to me by 3 4 very different groups, Naga groups. And it is like
Actually,
goes back to head hunting. And there might be a similar one in Arunachal also. So just
I think there was one lecturer here. He used to work in Bangalore in the Amar Chitra Katha. So
uh-huh.
he's a Nocte. So when he
Oh,
was, printing the books, then he came a story one folktale. That is of one dog and pig. How come the dog is living inside and the pig is working in the field? So there's one
uh-huh.
story in our Nocte community. So
Ah,
this particular folktale was found in Amar Chitra Katha. So he was quite surprised at how come this came here, this our Nocte folktale. So this kind of similarities is
no,
actually
there is,
happening.
because I mean the
Yeah.
people who work on folk tales, now the folk tales are inscribed numbers because they're all over the world. You will
Okay.
find similar folk tales in different variation. So the folktale of the flood myth, you will find it from the Bible too, otherwise, the other sources. So there are a lot of things, And Molly is the one who's actually done her PhD was on folk tales.
Yeah.
So she's the
Dr.
one who can
Kaushal.
tell you much more. Yes.
Yeah, I wish she was here. In the 1990s, early 1990s, it was 1994. I was still an undergrad. I went by bus from Calcutta to Assam and then Meghalaya, Nagaland, through Karbi Anglong, through
Wow.
Nagaland, through Manipur. It was the most fascinating. I feel I should have gone to Arunachal also during that time. It was so beautiful. Like the Northeast is so beautiful. I don't know.
1990s, huh?
Yeah,
1990s.
1994.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was in my final year. No, I was in my second year undergrad. Yeah.
Because 1991, I traveled a lot with Aditya, actually. Aditya, who's got the Museo camera now in
Oh,
Gurgaon.
oh, okay.
Aditya
Yeah.
Arya and I traveled.
Wow. And what a time. Early 1990s was a wonderful time to explore. And now things
It
have
was a
changed.
very difficult also to explore
Very
because there were
difficult.
no vehicles, there were landslides and all kinds of things.
I
I don't
shared the
think
bus.
Wangtum was even born then. Were you born?
No, I
You
was.
were, oh God, I feel
I
so
wish I
old.
was.
1997, no? You were
I'm
born in
96.
I,
96.
I I feel so old now. I shared the bus with chickens in a basket.
Yeah, that I have also done because there would
Yeah.
be only one bus connection to
Yeah.
the town. So if you go to the village, then you can go back to the town only in the morning. So you have to have somebody you can stay with.
I still remember the bus service was called Kanglai Park Travels. They had very good buses. And then we would stop at some tea estates and have like tea all the way.
Oh,
And
that.
I just miss that. And I don't know if the Northeast is still that way. Is it still that beautiful?
It
Like,
is, but I don't know. I mean, in 1990s, I've traveled in Mon district and there were roads. There were actual roads,
mm,
tarmac, I mean, black tar roads. And I went there in 2017 and there was no road. I was thinking, like, what happened? I mean, like,
where did the
in
road
Irrigation.
1990s, there was a road there. What happened to the road? It was really bad.
I remember in
From
Nagaland,
Sagar onwards, Tijit, and as
yeah,
soon as we entered and started climbing the hills, the black tar was gone. It was just, I mean, you can see that the best shop to have is a tire shop in
yeah.
Nagaland.
And you know what happened with me in Nagaland? We stopped and we were told to get off the bus because there was a landslide. And then somebody
Yeah.
said, "Oh, the bus that went before you, there was some cookie Naga clash, and the whole bus was
Oh,
thrown in the
Right,
uh,
right.
in the khud. Oh
yeah,
God. Yeah, that was
This was between Tangkul,
1993 to
Tangkul and
97.
Kuki.
There was
yeah,
a Cookie Naga thing.
yeah.
It is
So
really bad.
Very bad.
yeah, I
Something that is happening in Manipur now between the Methi and the Kuki.
yeah, in the
So
mid,
it's
It's still
very
not.
bad. Yeah.
And I had a lot of
Yesterday,
Thankful and cookie friends also in
Yeah,
college.
no, I know because one of the officers who helped Aditya and me a lot, he was DC, District Commissioner Mokukchung. He was assassinated in that Kuki Naga clash.
Oh dear, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
I do want to go back to the Northeast, and Wangtom, I want to meet you when I come. When
sure.
I
Same.
But tell me one thing, Wangtum, is this,
Yeah.
do you also know Tara Douglas? She'd been making these 3D animation
Uh,
and these various folk tales.
we are friends on Facebook, but we have not actually,
Yeah,
talked.
I don't know which,
Yeah,
I think she had done one or two folk tales but
yeah
she may have done it
she's
with a
working on
different
one
community.
shot track.
Yeah. Okay, one show, okay.
She's I think 3D animation. I think
Yeah, 3D animation. Yeah.
I've seen her.
So yeah, so wonderful, Wangtom. I want to thank you
This was
for,
very good,
Thank
very
you.
good. It's really nice to have
and
this.
and we should
And
have
thank
I
you
more
for
hope
of the
sharing the
Northeast.
web page. I
Yeah,
shall.
Nocte Digest. We should have more, and you need to give a talk, Vibhaji. Like, when are you available? We would love to have you
My
talk.
goodness. Ah, okay. What do you want me to talk about? Naga textile. Now everyone will be up in arms again.
Whatever you want
Anyone
to talk
non-Naga
about.
talking about anything Naga. So,
And whatever you want to talk about, we really want to, like, whenever you're, even like this coming week, if you're available, our
no, not
talks
this
are
coming
so
week.
informal, and whenever it's comfortable for you.
Maybe a bit later. Yeah, there's just too much work on my head right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
But I can talk about the museum collections actually. Why not? Because
Yes.
that would be, talking about PRM and the Berlin Museum collection and the collectors. That could be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be wonderful. Yeah, that would be really wonderful. I'd like that
Mhm.
very much.
Yeah, that would be lovely. So just choose a date, any Saturday, whenever you want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would be lovely.
Mhm.
Yeah. So all of
Okay.
you have a lovely Saturday till next Saturday. And Wangtum,
Yeah,
please join us for our talks whenever you
sure,
can.
sure.
And if you have, any of your colleagues who are doing work in the Northeast, and you feel that they should, come to our forum, we would love to have them speak.
Sure,
So,
sure.
yeah.
I will inform them also. I've also like shared the message also, but I think they were busy.
Yeah, Saturday nights are either Saturday vibes with us or it's Saturday night somewhere else. Okay, but we
Better
do
here.
share recordings, so I'll share the recording, and I'll send it to you so you can share it with your colleagues and students. And I'm sure they're very lucky to have you. It's so wonderful what you're doing, and we would like you to come to the Northeast, not to the, sorry, you're in the Northeast, to come to Himachal, and maybe
Marcel.
a bit, things of the Nocte tribe. We really want this interaction between, Himalayan people. So yeah, so we will make that happen one day
Sure.
soon. Okay. So all of you who
Looking
stayed on,
forward.
thank you. Thanks, Romel, again, for connecting us. And all of you, Vivaji, so nice seeing you, Jenny, all of you who are here.
Thank you very much. So enjoyable to be
Yeah.
here on a Saturday,
Yeah.
away from my own projects.
Take care and have a lovely Saturday wherever you are. Yeah.
Mm.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
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 Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.